Good morning. Hello, welcome. So last week I was out skiing. Took a couple days up in northern Wisconsin. Went out skiing, and at one point, cross country skiing, heading around a curve, and it's beautiful. There's like 2 feet of snow, and it's just a crisp, beautiful, sunny day. And I was temporarily a little lost in thought, and I was kind of looking off this way, and the trail went this way, and I ran not too fast, uh, but my face right into this pine tree that was had a little branch in the way, and it knocked my glasses off. And I reacted right away, and so I ended up in this state where like my glasses were hanging on the tree branch, and I was back looking at it, and I grabbed my glasses, and then I just had this moment where I I looked out, and it was the most beautiful scene. The sun was coming down, kind of right down the branch, and the branch is covered in snow. And because I'm like super nearsighted, it was this beautiful effect, right? You'll see this in photography, right? That people will control where the focus is to highlight something. You get this kind of blurred out background, and then this really sharp focus to create an effect. People do that with portraits. And so this is what I was seeing. I was like this pine branch, with just these tiny little snowflakes. And then as the sun is heading backwards, you get that blurring effect. Have you ever seen that in a photo, like with Christmas lights, where they get all kind of blurred out? And it was so beautiful. And that's what started my thinking a little bit about myopia. That's short-sightedness and nearsightedness. Short-sightedness, my little self-deprecating humor for the day. So I'm going to chat with you about some reflections I had after this experience about nearsightedness and maybe some topics that we can hopefully learn from it. So we'll see where that chat goes. If you're new to this show, A Fasting Space, I'm Dr. Z, and this is just a little chance to grab a coffee, connect, and spend some time in a fasting space. We learn and chat about fasting and health while we're doing a health practice together. That's kind of the vision that I have for it. Grab a coffee or tea if you're inclined as we're heading along, and hopefully you find that to be a pleasant space. Thought I'd just start out our a little chat today with a little gratitude. I think it's such a healthy practice, especially even like starting your day. Like maybe start the day, end the day. Can you find some piece of gratitude just to reflect on? It's such a great way to center ourselves, focus on something positive. The big gratitude that I'm having right now. All right, last week the little ski, that was really great. Be able to spend some time with my family, get out, get out of town. I was gonna do the live session last week. I brought all the gear. I thought I'd try to do a low quality stream, from my laptop, and I tested it all out, here. But once we got up to the cabin, like said, there's internet, but it didn't work. So, it's okay to take a break too, and that felt good to me. Christy is here. Good morning. Hope you're doing well today. My other gratitude, I went to a concert last night. My family, there's a Beatles cover band in Madison, the Madison Mystery Tour, and so they did this huge Beatles show last night, and so we went out to that, and super fun. but super loud. So loud. I think like my ears today, the next day, I was like, I think I'll kill the music today and just embrace some quiet after the concert. So I was super happy to be able to head to that. If you have a gratitude, throw it in the chat, throw it in the comments if you're coming through on the stream. I'd be happy to hear that. All right, so I was telling you about my ski trip and getting knocked in the face, knocked my glasses off. And this effect here, I'll show you one photo. So I didn't take this photo. I I had all these beautiful scenes on my ski trip, but I was kind of like, oh, I was like, I just want to be out skiing. I'm not going to drag my camera around. But here I just took a representative photo. Here's a pine tree, right? It's giving this effect of bokeh, is like this photography effect. Now, I don't even know what's going on. Are these Christmas lights back there or what? You know, the background all gets blurred out. And then it puts the focus on this, on the pine cones, like on this branch. And so I was realizing, okay, photographers spend thousands of dollars to get, these super, high quality lenses to help give you this bokeh effect. And then I was like, well, I'm sitting here in the woods. I just got hit in the face with a tree branch. And like here I'm seeing this with like my own eyes. And I never appreciated it. But then kind of the thoughts to me, I'm heading through the woods, kind of thinking about, I was thinking a lot about the live stream. The previous one, is love the answer, right? Thinking about it. And then we got into that concept, disease as teacher. And so then I was sitting there, seeing this beautiful scene. And then I started thinking about like, I've been nearsighted my whole life. I think I got glasses when I was in 3rd grade, I think. And then I was like here I'm seeing this beautiful scene, the glistening snow. I was like, this would be like a perfect photograph, just the simplicity of this glistening snow on this tree branch, kind of blurring off and all these sparkly things. I'm like, well, here is something beautiful. Like if I had perfect vision, this wouldn't be exactly the same. And so then I started thinking, well, myopia is like a disease, recognized, like it's not good. If I could snap my fingers and cure myopia and never have to wear glasses again without having to laser beam my eyes, I would do it. But as I was sitting there, I was like, well, I'm going to think about this, like myopia as a teacher, right? Like, is there something that we can learn? Is there a silver lining that we can take away from, a disease or something? I've never thought about this with something like a nearsightedness. What can possibly be good about it is kind of how I've thought about it. I've always, secretly resentful. How come some people, don't develop nearsightedness and some people do? Like what good could ever come of that? These are some of the things that I was thinking about as I was sitting there kind of collecting myself. So I got my glasses back on and I was like, you know what? Like that was kind of pretty. Like, I think I'm just going to roll with it. So I was like, I wonder, can I ski without wearing my glasses for a while and just sit with this effect? So I was like, I'm going to try it out. And here's the first thing that I learned. All right, take the glasses off. I'm going to, like, I couldn't run this show right now. Buttons to click and all these things. Like, I can't even see my little screen. But I was like, I try skiing around a little while. There's like this wide path. My dog is leading the way. I should have loaded up. I put on the community section on the channel a little post of me and my dog skiing down the trail. The first thing that I noticed was slow down, all right? And so as we kind of build out some of these observations, I'm going to kind of say, myopia, like lessons for life, right? And then I'm trying to say like, lessons for what we're trying to do here. How do we burn down blood sugar, burn down excess body fat, get ourselves in a super healthy thing? So the first thing I realized, some people do this. I remember I talked with my medical assistant a couple years ago I was like, "So sometimes you wear glasses and sometimes you don't." She's like, "Oh, I hate it, but, like, I need it." So she goes back and forth. Like, I was like, it never occurred to me to really do that. I don't know. And so I just wear them all the time. But I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to head through this space." I'm skiing. I already got hit in the face by a branch. So the first thing, gotta slow down. And slowing down in general, um, something that we can all use from time to time, right? So society these days, everything's so fast-paced, so much going on. We have so many demands on our time and attention. Slowing down it's gotta happen. If you're short-sighted and you're gonna try to ski down a thing and not hurt yourself, I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna slow down." And then what I started to realize is like, okay, I'm slowing down, I'm staying safe, but like you start appreciating more and more of actually the beautiful things that are all around me. And I'm like, this is really nice. Like, it's like a good metaphor for what we should, I think, try to do as much as possible in life in general. Like, slow down and just find the beauty in the simple things that are around us. Like I was having this beautiful moment, like just realizing, oh, like this tree branch and this in the snow, like it's so beautiful. So slowing down as a concept in life can be a way that can help us to reduce stress, cope with stress, try to not let it pile up, focus. This is the thing, like focus on just the things that are closest. That'd be like not worrying about the things that are far away. Focus on the things that are closer. And then, specifically on a weight loss program, some sort of health program. I was talking with someone just last week. They were saying they were making slow and steady progress, which is like what I try to help everyone make. And they were so discouraged. They're saying but recognizing it. They're like, "Oh, I want all of this done, by 2 months." And then they were like, "But this problem didn't come on in 2 months, It's very likely to go away in 2 more months." It's like we want a long-term process. And so slowing down, that's kind of like resetting our expectations, right? Having expectations in the wrong spot is one of the big things that cause conflict between people. And it's one of the main things that leads to people giving up on a health goal. So I made a video once, I forgot what I called it, but it was like how lowering your expectations can help boost your success. And it's because you stop perceiving so much of this gap between where you are and where you want to go. When we kind of slow down and just focus on what we can see, what we can actually just see right around us, okay, that can be definitely a good path to move forward. So slowing down, step one in like a short-sighted process. The second thing I was thinking about was like more about this photography effect, okay, bokeh effect. Like, portraits and, you think every wedding photograph, they got like, all the background blurred out. As I was skiing along during the day, I spent a couple hours like this and I just came like I was worried at first. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get a headache, like I'm going to have eye strain, I'm going to have some problem." But I never did. And I said all these beautiful kind of landscapes throughout the day, whereas like everything's kind of blurred out, but I was okay with it. I was like, certain things like in focus in the foreground, like, can I accept that? I was just doing all these thoughts like, these are my own eyes. This is what it's like without technology and all these things for whatever reason. Can you find the beauty in it? And so, at least in that day, I mean, it's harder to do when you're working, you're doing things, but it was easier to do on a vacation day, right? Where I'm just out by myself, out in the woods. But find the beauty. And I had this scene toward the end of the day where like the sun is setting, across this beautiful snowy landscape. And then, with it all blurred out, like, I mean, it's beautiful with glasses on, but then like, when it's blurred out like this, it's like a painting. I was just standing there. I was like, "This is like living in a dream," like some sort of Van Gogh, you know? And and then I thought about, like, isn't that what life is like in general? These are the analogies that I want to kinda show between it. Like I said before, it's not like being nearsighted is a good thing. I would get rid of it instantly if I could, but, like, here in a moment, like, it really there is this beauty, and so then it helped me realize, like, this is, like, such a beautiful place to be. This life is just such a beautiful experience, and, like, being out in nature, I think, really helps, seeing the sunset, seeing the snow, and it just felt like being in a painting, and I was like, "I definitely need to bring a mindset like this back with me from this little vacation," like, finding beauty in just moments throughout our day, and that's the gratitude, right? Finding gratitude for these simple, beautiful things. Um, is that a process that can bring encouragement to everything else? Like, I think so often we get focused, on some sort of goal that we have, and we get so dialed in on it that we like miss like all these like other beautiful things, like little miracles that are happening throughout our day that we're just oblivious to. I mean, I know this is how I am. And I was like, oh, it'd take me like getting rid of like this focusing device, the glasses, like, and then to just really appreciate, like, wow, this is like a miracle. If you can find a mental space like that during your day, during your week, where you slowed down, you're finding beauty, like, can that help you move through a space in a week with less stress, with a greater ability to find joy and contentment? I think, I hope that it can. Let me know if you find that to be the case. Can you do it? Another thing I was thinking about, so I'm skiing along, observing these things in a nice slow fashion, and I was thinking like, all right, just focusing on the things that are near at hand, right? I think in society these days, I don't know if it's true for you, but at least in Madison, a very political, city, very political, I don't know, sort of time. There's all sort of political stuff going on. People from, divided and polarized on everything that is going on. And I was thinking like, okay, if we are trying to learn from myopia, from the nearsightedness, like, how can we approach this? I was thinking about, okay, I was watching some people online are so upset, about a certain thing. And I was reflecting, I was like, are these people healthy? Like, actually. And I think about, okay, when you're skiing through the woods, when you're seeing these things, like, you can't be worried about what is happening around the corner. You got to be like focused on like what is happening right here, or you're not going to make it, right. You got to be looking for the branches here, all this sort of thing. And this is like maybe a big thing that I think we could take from this is like, all right, a nearsightedness is forcing us to focus on the things that are right around us in our sphere, right? You can't focus. Like, myopia is preventing you. You cannot focus as much as you want to on the horizon, on things that are far distant from you. You just have to focus on the things that are right here in front of you. And so you say, well, that's very restrictive. That's not nice. But like also can really help you. Like, if we were to take it in this political thing, okay, one of the things that leads to so much stress for people feel so disempowered. People feel overwhelmed by gigantic national, international forces. Okay, what if you had myopia? What if you had a political myopia? Now, I'm in favor of people being educated and knowing what's going on. it's not like we can all be indifferent to what's happening in our society, but like, what if we were forced to, right? What if we had this myopia and like we just can't see it, you know? Does that force you to actually focus, like, what is happening right here in my life, you know? What are the things that I control? Myself, my family. Like, is my own house in order? Can a myopia process? That could be like myopia as a gift. If you were forced to just bring things down here, like is your own house in order first? What if, because here I'm trying to shape this into like this weight loss idea, right? Slow down, find the beauty. Focus on your own health first. I did this video the other day where I was talking about the health system in general and how everybody, recognizes that the medical system is not really functioning very well, and everybody wants to fix it from the top down. And I was kind of like, what if we fixed it from the bottom up? Like, what if every single person is just like focusing on their own health and making ourselves healthier? Because whatever, national policy happened to try to fix our healthcare system won't matter if people don't make the decisions in their own life that actually lead to health. And those decisions are just all of the natural things that we all know, right? Eating the healthiest foods, keeping the processed foods out, moving our bodies in active, healthy ways, that keep us strong and resilient. And then opening enough open space, this is what I try to focus on, to allow the system to burn off the excess. Give the body space to do it. Call that fasting if you want, or just say it's just some open space. There's not, a national policy could support that. I'd be all for it, okay? But like, we can also do it in our own lives right now. And so sometimes I think, how many people are prevented from actually making those decisions because they're so stressed out about everything that is happening elsewhere? And so that's the nearsighted sort of perspective, I think. Can we make sure that we are putting all of our energy like into making sure that we are taking the best care of ourselves first? A nearsightedness could help us do that. And then the last thought that I had while I was roaming around, there were not very many people. There's a giant ski race up north, and we were not at it. So this cross-country ski place we were at is like totally empty, basically. All day. Like, usually when we ski up there, there's a bunch of other people. And so I think we saw like 3 or 4 people all day, which was great. But I was like, I'm skiing along without my glasses on, kind of going along. I was like, I can't really see these people. And I see that they're there. I don't crash into them. I say hi, but like, I can't really, see them. And so the thought that I had about this is, M. Palmer is here. Hello, welcome, good morning. I hope you're doing well. So the thought that I was having with this one, I was like, okay, so I can't really see these people. And I was like, why do I need to? I was like, and the analogy that I would like to use for this one is just that we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. This is kind of what I was seeing from there. Like, comparing ourselves to other people pretty much always is a recipe for some sort of less than ideal mental process. Either we're feeling too good about ourselves or we're feeling too bad about ourselves. And really, this is a path toward finding contentment, right? To be looking inward, looking at ourselves and saying like, hey, am I okay with myself here? We don't need to be looking at other people. So a myopia, right, a nearsightedness would be like forcing us to do that. Like, you can't really compare yourself with someone else if you can't really see them, I was like, I see that you're there. Like, whatever you're doing is okay. And, and I just carry on. A lot of times people going through some sort of process, and don't you think that it is much worse these days with social media and all of this. Like, it's not that just that you compare yourself to, like, everybody in your actual life. You're, like, comparing yourself to, like, everybody in the world, basically, and, like, you know, and whatever the thing is in your mind, like, at least is how it is for me. Like, there's always somebody who's, like, better looking, has more money, more successful, more everything, like, further along a path that you want. And if always, like, if your happiness is dependent on comparing yourself to someone else, like, very hard to find joy and contentment and gratitude in a space like that. And then it gets harder and harder to move forward. So if a nearsightedness could teach us one thing only, maybe that would be even the thing. We can see what's right in front of us. I can see my own hand. I can see even my own family if they're close. Like, that's a good sphere for us to be operating in, and not worrying so much, like, comparing ourselves to others. So these would be my ways to say, can we approach that for the week? Let me know if you find these things helpful. So myopia, a nearsightedness, can it help us slow down? Can it help us find beauty in the ordinary and the simple around us? Can it help us to block out negative influences and stressful situations that are keeping us from focusing on our own health and well-being as the top priority? And can it keep us from unhealthy comparison with other people? So I hope those are helpful thoughts. That's what kind of came to me after getting hit in the face with a branch in the woods and getting the glasses knocked off, and then just rolling with it for a little while. So I found it an enjoyable experience. Easier to do out in the woods than around town and trying to work, but nonetheless, something I might try to do from time to time when I have the opportunity, taking the dog for a walk or something like that, just to try to bring things down to kind of a smaller scale and try to find beauty in that sort of space. So I hope you can do that. I'd be happy to, excuse me, my voice, we had the kids, I brought our kids to the concert last night, and it was so loud, like I was saying. A lot of shouting last night at the kids, and with the kids, it was a good time. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them before we sign off. I hope you have a great week, and yeah. Thanks for sharing this space with me this morning. Wish you the very best. Share any thoughts that you have, comments during the week about this. And yeah, I'll be doing some further thinking about it, I think. Diseases teacher, that's the thing I really be thinking about. Like, sometimes, one of the thoughts I was thinking, in that regard, maybe it's not always the case. I was like, is it always the case? Like, maybe it's not always the case that disease is teacher. I was like, I don't know. Or maybe it is, but like the lessons, like we just can't see them. Or maybe we don't like like what the lessons are trying to teach. Like, I was reading a book this week on barefoot running. There is a topic. I tried to get into some barefoot walking and running about 10 years ago. It was before I broke my foot. So I did a video on healing your metabolism, where I told the story how I broke my foot. And that took me out of a running ball game for quite a while. But kind of the year or two before that, I was learning about these indigenous cultures that run barefoot for hundreds of miles. I was like, that is so wild. And this is kind of in line with like a broader theme that I'm trying to do here, getting back to basics, understanding kind of the simple beauty in the human system and how we relate to the natural cycles. And I was like, it makes sense. We've only had the giant, running shoes for a couple decades. Like most people never wore running shoes like this. They wore much smaller things on their feet, and then people have been running forever. But I realized the mistake I made then, I just dove into it. I just bought barefoot shoes and started trying to run normally like I did, and without really studying it. This book, Born to Run 2, that's what I'm reading this week, the follow-up from Born to Run, which is a story of how this guy he went down and met all these indigenous runners in southern Mexico. He's like, you grow up, you spend 4 decades like, throwing your body mechanics out of balance. And then you just try to go out and use your feet like you've been training them your whole life. Is not going to go well. It didn't go well for me. I see it. Because like I started doing this running and I was like, I developed calf pain, knee pain, hip pain. I was like, oh, I can't do it. And this was the thing, like disease as teacher. This is the other thing I've been thinking about this week. The discomfort is showing you where the weakness is. The discomfort is showing like this is where the dysfunction is. And so there was another thing I'm thinking on. How much joint pain, how much discomfort do people have, and how much of it is actually due because we are not using our body in the way that it's designed to be run. And the body is using this discomfort to try to teach us, like, this is not the way. And but maybe we're not hearing the message, we're not interpreting it right, So as like, if we are listening to the body, is it giving us the cues and signals to try to show us the path? So whatever we're trying to go toward, whether it's burning up extra blood sugar or getting our weight where we want it, okay, are there cues that the body is sending us that we can learn from that we typically experience as a negative, as something that's bad, that would say, oh, I wish this wasn't this way? Can we flip it around and say, what can I learn from this that can help lead me in a direction of health and wholeness? So that's what I'll be thinking about this week. I hope you all have a great week. Share any further thoughts or reflections with me about these thoughts as we go, and I will look forward to seeing you again next week.